You don't need the command line to use Linux nowadays. Our graphical desktops are arguably much smoother, much more consistent, and even sometimes more full-featured than Windows and macOS, and we've seen a boom in graphical utilities over the past years that make the command line obsolete. Except, no, it's really not obsolete, because first, it can be much faster to use the command line than using a graphical tool when you know what you're doing. Second, it's really fun to use it, and third, it's kind of necessary if you want to run Linux on a server, because please don't install a graphical interface on a server. So today, we'll look at about 40 basic command line utilities that you can use to make your Linux experience a bit more fun, a bit faster, or if you just want to learn the basics of the command line, something we've never really talked about on this channel. But what we've talked about is this sponsor, Kasm. This video is sponsored by Kasm, a project for running Linux workspaces in your web browser. They just released version 1.17, which adds support for deployment to Proxmox and Nutanix hypervisors, including the ability to auto-scale resources in the Community Edition. Additionally, they have released an AI registry containing secure, containerized, GPU-enabled workspaces that are preloaded with frameworks and libraries that make it easier than ever to run AI workloads in your home lab. As always, if you want to stream any Linux desktop, workspace, app or web browser straight to another device's web browser, you can self-host Kasm Community Edition, or they have software as a service editions that you can take a look at. The link is in the description. So, in order of the commands, the first is pwd for print working directory. It is a command that you type to know where you actually are in your file system. It will just tell you the path in which you are currently located when you use your terminal. Admittedly, you already have that information in your terminal prompt if you already located yourself in another directory, but when you're in your home directory, generally it's not displayed, so it can help. Next is cd for change directory. It lets you go somewhere on the file system. You type cd, then the path you want to get to, and you're done. For example, cd downloads if I'm in my downloads directory, or I could type cd/home/nic/downloads to locate myself in this same directory. You'll even see the path of that directory listed next to your terminal prompt. You can just type cd and press enter to go back to your user directory, and cd space ... to get back one level. You can even chain stuff. For example, if I'm in my downloads directory, I could type cd space ... /documents. The ... will get me back from the downloads folder to my user directory, and then I will cd back into the documents directory that I specified. Now, if you don't know where you can go from where you are, then you have ls. It lists all files and folders in your current directory. Its main options are -l, so you type ls space -l to have a list of files, permissions, creation date, and owner, and you can also type ls-a to view hidden files and folders. You can also chain ls-la, so you have the long list and also the hidden folders and files. If you want to create a new directory, then you can use mkdir for make directory. Type mkdir, then the name of the folder you want to create, and you're done. You can then cd into it and potentially create a new file. Speaking of which, you can use the command called touch. Type touch, then the name of your file to simply create it. Or you have a few options, like for example listing an array of numbers to create as many files with the base name and a number after it. Now, if you want to add something to a text file, you have the echo command. Type echo and then your text, and it will just display that text in the terminal. Not super useful, but you can type echo, then your content between quotes, then a superior than symbol, and the name of your file that you want to add stuff into. If you just use the superior than symbol, then the contents you typed after echo will completely replace the contents of the file that you pointed in the command. But if you do want to add a line at the end of the file, then you can use a double superior than symbol instead of just typing it once, and then what you typed after echo will be appended at the end of the file instead of replacing its entire contents. It is extremely useful to just add a specific config at the end of a config file, or just to add some text into one basic txt reminder file where you note all the things that you have to do. Now for real text editing though, Nano is your base tool. Yeah, not Vim or Emacs. Nano is way easier to get to grips to for beginners. Type nano and the name of the file, and you now have a text editor. You can use the arrow keys to place your cursor, you can type what you want to type, delete what you want to delete, and then you can press ctrl+O to save the document, and ctrl+X to exit it. If you need to read the contents of that file, then you can use the cat command. Type cat and the name of your file, and boom, the contents are printed in your terminal. Pretty easy, but not always super legible. If your file is super long, then you can use the less command instead. Type less, then the name of your file, and you'll get the same contents of that file, but separated into pages that you can navigate. Instead of scrolling line per line, you scroll page per page, which can make things a bit easier. Now, to sort the contents of a file alphabetically, you can use the sort command. For example, you can type cat, then the name of your file, then a pipe symbol, and sort. A pipe just lets the output of your first command be passed continuously to the command that is listed after the pipe. So as cat grabs the contents of the file, it passes it to the sort command, which will sort it and then print that result into your terminal. Pipes are insanely useful to chain various commands together. To find a specific file, type find, then the directory you want to search in, then -name and the name of the file you're looking for. You can, of course, use regular expressions in typing the name of the file. For example, you could type the first 3 letters of the name of the file, then an asterisk, and it will get you all the files that start with these 3 letters. You know how regex work. Now, to change the permissions of a file, you can use chmod. Chmod plus X makes a file executable, chmod plus R makes it readable, chmod plus W makes it writable. Chmod plus RWX does all of those things. To change which user owns that specific file, you can use chown for change owner. Type chown, then the name of the user, and then the name or the path to the file, and it now belongs to that user. You could argue that AI companies are owning the entire internet right now. To copy a file somewhere else, you can use cp. Type cp, then the name of the file or its path, and then the name of the file you want to create as a copy or its path. If you'd prefer to move that file, you can type mv. You type mv, the name of the file you want to move, and the name of the file where you want to move it to, or its entire path, and it will just move it. To compare 2 files to see if they're the same, you can use cmp, followed by the names or the paths of your files. It will tell you if they differ, how much, and at which line. To delete a file, you can type rm. Rm, then the name of the file or its path, and it's gone. Really, it's gone. Don't delete anything important here. To delete a directory and all of its contents, you can use rm-r, then the name of the directory. If your directory is empty, you can instead use rmdir and the name of the directory. This only works if the directory is empty. If it's not, you need to use rm-r, the -r option being for recursive, meaning it will delete the directory and everything inside that directory and everything inside the directories inside that directory, etc., etc. Now, to link a file to another place, you can use ln. ln-s, then the name of the file, and a space, then the name of the link, and you created a soft link. If you use ln without the -s option, you create a hard link instead. Basically, your hard link acts as a copy of the original file, where changes to one copy are also done to the other copy. A soft link is more like a Windows type of link, where basically the link is just a pointer to the original file. Any change that you make to the original will be reflected when you open the link, but it's just a pointer. A hard link is basically a hard copy where all changes are applied from one file to the other. If you want to link to a directory, you need to use a soft link, so you use ln-s. To compress a directory or a file, you can use zip. Type zip, then the name of the archive, and then list all the things that you want to add to that archive with their path or the file names. It will even tell you how much space it saved by making that archive. You can then unzip that archive by typing unzip and the name of the archive. If you're looking to know where the executable for a command is hiding, you can type which, then the name of the program, and it will tell you where the main executable for that program is. To know where all the files linked to that program are, you can type whereis, then the name of that program, and you'll see all the files related to that. If you need specific permissions to run any command and access any files that only the root user or an administrator has access to, then you use the sudo command. You type sudo, then the actual command you want to run, it will ask you for your password, and if you're allowed to use sudo, then the command will run. If you just want to clean up the current terminal window, but to keep the history intact, you can type ctrl+L instead. It will just clear the current view of the terminal, but it won't touch your history. To view that history, just type history, and you get a list of everything that you ever entered into your terminal. If you want to know under which user you're logged in, you can type whoami. If you want to create a new user, you can use the adduser command. Type adduser, then the name of the user you want to create, and it will guide you to set a bunch of information about that specific user, including their password. Now, to switch to that newly created user, you can type su. Su, then the name of the user. Type in their password, and your terminal will switch to that user session. Your main graphical desktop around that, though, it will still be yours. It won't log you out. Only the terminal window that you're logged into will be as if you were connected as this user, but it won't log you out of your main session. To log out of being that user, type exit, and you'll resume to your previously logged in user, so basically yourself. It also works to quit a bunch of command line programs, but if you want to terminate a command that's running, you can generally hit ctrl+C. Just know that it will just shut down the command immediately, and it might leave your system in a weird place if you do that at an inopportune time. If you need to change your password, or the password of another user, you can type password, passwd. You'll be able to set the new password and change it. You also do need to be super user to do that, so sudo is needed. Unless you're changing your own password, in which case you don't need sudo because you're already logged in. Now, I've only given you the smallest bit of information about each command, but they all have a bunch of options and other things that they can do. And to learn about that, you can use the man command, man for manual. Type man, then the command you want to learn about, and boom, you have a long list of stuff you can do. You can also use command --help and get a shorter list of options and what they do. In the manual, you can use the arrow keys to go down, and you can press Q to quit that manual. If you just want to know what a command is, you can just type whatis and then the name of the command, and it will give you the tldr on what that program actually does. Because yes, when you type a program, you're actually running an executable in the terminal, and so it will give you the description of that executable. To know more about your internet connection, you can use ifconfig. It will display all currently active internet connections, and it will also give you your IP address for every single one of those. Now, if you only wanted to get information about one of your active connections, you could type ifconfig, then a pipe symbol, then grep, and the name of your internet connection, in my case, WL01. It will only display that connection as the results. It will just filter things. Grep works with all kinds of commands to simply filter out the output and only get what you really want to see. For example, if you type lsusb or lspci followed by a pipe and then grep, you can filter the results of all your USB devices or your PCI devices with what you typed after grep. For example, if I want to list all GPUs on my system, I can type lspci to get the list of all the PCI connected devices, then a pipe, grep VGA, and I get all the VGA capable systems on my computer, which means basically GPUs. Grep is an insanely useful command. It can give you specific lines inside of a result. It can give you specific patterns that specific lines match. It is great. Grep is great. Now, to see how much free RAM you have, you can type free, and you'll see what's left in your system to use. If you want to know how much disk space you have left, you can type df, and it will list all the partitions in your disk and the disk usage on each. If you type df-H, it will give you a much more readable number for the available disk sizes. This command is super useful to see why your server stopped responding when you try to access it with a web browser and you realize that once again your cache has ballooned up and it's taking all the available disk space. For more detailed statistics on your system, a full-on system monitor basically, you can type top. It will display the CPU usage, the free RAM, the disk space usage, and all the currently running processes. You can also use htop. Sometimes it's not installed on distros, but sometimes it is. You can install it in your distro. Htop does the same thing, but it looks a bit better with colors and graphs. It's a bit nicer. Finally, to stop a process from running, to stop an application that's stuck or something that's eating up all your resources, you can use kill-9, then the process ID that you can see when using top or htop in the PID column. You can also use pkill, which just lets you type the name of the process instead of its ID. Type pkill-f, then the name of the program you want to kill, and it's gone. And there you go, about 40, maybe 41 or 42 different command line programs and utilities that you can use to get started with the Linux command line. These are really the basics of how you navigate your file system, how you move stuff around, how you log into a user, how you create a new one, how you change passwords, how you view information about your system. Those are the basics, and I only covered the very basic options for those, so it's basically a really quick crash course in Linux command line. I have a more advanced video with a bunch more cool command line programs that I made a while back. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Check it out if you want to learn more about specific command line programs that can either enhance those that I displayed today or really just add some features to your command line experience. And if you want to improve your Linux experience, then you have today's sponsor, Tuxedo Computers. They make laptops and desktops that ship with Linux pre-installed, and of course you can use the command line on them as well. I only use their computers these days. Everything that you see from me on the channel, on my podcast, everything is done on one of their laptops. All my gaming is done on one of their desktops running Nobara. They have something for every price point, for every need, whether you need a really small laptop that is as cheap as possible or a big workstation or gaming PC. They have it all, plenty of options, plenty of keyboard layouts. They ship to most countries in the world. They're really, really great. The link, as always, is in the description. Anyway, this will conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you learned something if you weren't that familiar with the command line. You know where to support the channel. All the links are in the description. And in the meantime, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!